Okay, this is Roger from Mud Fossil University, and we are going to go into sonoluminescence today. And these are the slow-mo guys, and they do videos showing extreme slow motion of certain events. And then what they're doing here is they're creating sonoluminescence inside of water. In a tank of water, they're exploding this little firecracker here. What it will do is it will create, from the chemical reaction, the combustion of the chemical reaction, it will create a cavity, a hole, a globe inside the water. Now, you're only going to have the same amount of molecules that you have here inside that globe as it starts to expand. So it is going to try to fill that void, I believe, with electrons, because it doesn't want to have just nothing there. Electrons are very free within the water that this will be within, and I believe they're sucking the electrons directly into that void. So let's watch this in slow motion, and I'll make comments about it. I'm going to go into the full-size mode. It's a little easier to see. Here we go. Now, it's going to explode, and as it explodes, it obviously creates a cavity in the water. Now, on the right is less light, on the left is more light, so we can you're seeing more structure on the right. And at this point, let's just stop, because what you're seeing here is the beginning of the cavity. This whitish part, I'm saying, is the actual material that was involved in the explosion, the firecracker. However, that will only occupy so much space within this void. The rest is going to be an open vacuum, literally, that is going to suck electrons out of the water that surrounds it. And you will see them show up here as a layer of extreme, I mean, really cool looking. Look at them, they're all colors and everything. Watch this. It's continuing to keep coming up. Look at what's happening on the surface of that. You see it? There's a firecracker up there. These, I believe, are the light particles. I believe these are literally electrons. Look at them. They're glowing in these different colors. And what does the different colors mean? Why is some green and some red and so forth? Well, those are frequencies. What do the frequencies mean? They mean the speed at which the electron is being pulled in, because the frequencies are the actually light that we see. So let's continue on and watch what happens. They start to sparkle like diamonds in there. Those are, I believe, the light particles that we see coming at us as light. Now, they are suspended in that space at this point. And as they are now becoming compressed again, they have nowhere to go. So let's see what we're looking at now. We're seeing those electrons all becoming squished back in, because this has actually literally is fairly stable compared to what's going on here. Now, what does this electron glob do? What can it do? What's its possibilities? I say that the only possibilities are to shoot back into the water and absorb all of that electricity back into that water, or to give it off in the form of extremely excited energy, which is light. And that is what happens here. And when the event is over, it's over. That light is gone. So watch this very carefully now. Think about what's happening on that external. Look, they're coming back in, they're crushing, they're boiling in here. You can literally see them boiling. Look at this, they're boiling as they come in here. Now, what are they going to do? They have nothing else they can do other than, now they're getting so crushed in, they're starting to, they're just shaking so bad, they're starting to emit out of here in bits and globs. And then they just say, that's it, we're out of here. Poof. And they all leave in one shot, and that's the end of the thing. And this all happened in 0.010004 seconds. Okay, so this is not an event that anyone would ever see unless they looked at it in this kind of an exposure. So it's very interesting, these slow-mo guys. I watch all their videos. They show all kinds of things. All right, so here's another one to demonstrate this. This is by Anthony Ali. Now, you see this? That is not being heated up like a burner in your oven. What's going through here is electricity, I'm sure. He doesn't, there's no details about this, but what I'm seeing here now, you see what happened? You see it start glowing like crazy? What's going through here is there's a huge, enormous, brutal force magnetic field being created by this enormous amount of current that's flowing through here. And it creates huge potentials, brute force, which is totally different from what they do with the very fine frequency modulation. This is just crushing, slamming. Now watch what happens. It actually will end up being so violent of exciting the electrons that it disassociates the hydrogen and oxygen, and the ice burns. That's all I can say. That's what I'm seeing, and there's no details about this whatsoever. But this is not turning like an oven, so that's not the case there. That is brute force. All right, this is the nature of light, and nobody can speak against this. The sun is shaking molecules so violently that the electrons spin away, leaving the sun as particles, as electrons, and they say they weigh 0.00055 atomic mass units. I'll go along with that, that's fine. And they spin in the vacuum of space. There's nothing to bang into. Nothing to bang into. They just go in and they're just going all by themselves. And the electrons are all negative, so they keep away from each other. They get away from me, get away. So they don't interact. Once they hit molecules that have nucleuses, they bang into them. It boing, and it bangs into it. And what does it do? It creates heat as a vibration, or it creates light as re-radiated, boing, it bounces off. Now, Einstein called that the photon electron principle, where the photon was nothing and created an electron. It's insanity. And then it's supposed to be a particle and a wave, but neither one at the same time, and it has no mass, and if it had no mass, it would have no energy by his own equation. Nobody ever even thought about that. If it has no mass, E equals mc squared means light has no energy. So case number one. Case number two is as the light passed the sun in the 1919 or 1918 experiment, whenever it was, and Einstein got his Nobel Prize for saying, oh, it'll bend in front of the sun. Well, obviously it bends in front of the sun. It didn't bend in front of the sun because of the extreme thermal density between the heat of the sun and the cold of space creates what's called thermal layering, a density layer. Exactly like water and air. They're identical. And now they know now that the sun is primarily, there's a term for it, but it's called radio waves mostly. But there's some special term for these particular ones. And they are extremely susceptible to this type of interference. So I do agree that everything is attracted to everything. And that's the nature of this negative electron. And it's also positive, though. Now, I have that theory. It's called negatron, which it's a negative. Everything is negative and positive both, and I can show this. And there is no neutrons. There's no neutrons rolling around the floor. You ever see one by itself? No, they're firmly attached to protons because they are neutral. And because a neutron is a little bit bigger than a proton, it ends up having a net negative mass. And once that attaches to the proton, you will always, 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 always have at least a little more negativity in your nucleus than you have positivity. And it will attract positively. So you're pulling in electrons with the positiveness, but the excessive negativeness of the nucleus will keep that electron in its orbital, which is called the quantum distance. And the electron also has not only negative, but it is a positive charge in there. And exactly the same ratio affects here. There is just a tiniest bit more negativity than there is positivity. So everything attracts and everything repels. And that is the unified theory.